for my mother, Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee, who is a public servant. She is for substance and not symbolism, and she is committed to making things better for me and for all of you. She has a mother, she is a daughter who may face some of the same things you all are facing. She has a daughter who, wants to have a job and wants to have health care and wants to have access to opportunity, and so she fights for those issues. She's a woman, and so she really cares about women's health issues. In the Texas delegation, there are 32 members of Congress in the Senate, and there are only 3 women serving from Texas, and my mom is one of those.
Yes.
And if you don't think it makes a difference, you know how we have matriarchs in our communities and what they think and what they do for us. So sometimes you need the voice of a woman. My mother has worked tirelessly to advance President Obama's agenda since he was inaugurated, and even before that, to help him get elected. And she is committed to bringing her seniority and leadership to them. And one thing about experience and her exposure that she gives, they know her. She can call any member of President Obama's cabinet on their cell phone. She doesn't have to talk to their secretary or some other person. She can reach them directly. And it's not just about her talking just to be seen, it's about talking to get things done in our communities. I will just touch on healthcare a little more specifically and end on education because that's really important to me. For healthcare, we have Medicare program. Maybe a lot of you get to benefit from that. Maybe some of you are in Medicaid. But there are a lot of people, my friends, people I know who have all kinds of careers who don't have good healthcare, who can't, if something happens that's catastrophic or they just need to get a checkup, they can't go in. And so it's really important that we fight for this opportunity to bring healthcare to the broader community. It shouldn't just be for the few or the people with a certain amount of money. Everyone has a right to be healthy and live so they can contribute and remain engaged in their communities. And so that's what we're sending her back to Washington to do.
Yes. Yes.
In terms of education, she fights for things that a lot of elected leaders in the city don't want to talk about. In Key Middle School, we're having chemical problems, odors. A lot of elected leaders wanted to leave it alone. But she brought down people from Washington to come look at that school and say, what's wrong? These kids and teachers should not be suffering here. When some of our leaders, they're going to close down schools in the north side or on the south side, schools like Kashmir and Yates, she said, you know what, it's not tearing down schools, let's build up. Let's give these schools the same resources that we gave the Woodlands, Sugarland. Why do they have to be neglected? She's always wanting to speak out and point attention and try to bring the resources. Just last week, she secured $1 million North Forest ISD for math and science programs from a private company. Sometimes you have to go around. If the state won't get the money, we have to go somewhere else. And so she worked hard and brought that money to North Forest ISD so they can get better math and science programs for their students there. Lastly, I will touch base on some things she does in Houston. A lot of people say, oh, why do I always have to see her in the news? Because she's making news. Because she's doing things that matter. When Hurricane Ike came, she slept in the command center. Our city was basically shut down. The county couldn't operate because power was out. So she was using her phone to call Washington because she needed Washington to operate, to send FEMA to get our pods. And not to have our pods only in River Oaks and the Galleria, but to have our pods in Acres Homes, Sunnyside, like Texas Southern. Those pods you saw were not because of any city official. They may have shown up and helped get the goods out of the pod, but it was because our members of Congress, particularly my mother, made sure that FEMA knew where the communities would really need those pods to get water and food and ice. And it took a lot of effort in coordination with the ministers and others, and sometimes it wasn't fast enough. But trust me, she was on that phone. I didn't see her for 12 days, and I was here in my house in 3rd Ward because she was working for all her communities in the 18th Congressional District.